Go ahead and call the order at 6 p.m. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Elise, do we have roll call?
Mike Womack.
Here.
Kelly Drew. Here. TJ Heacox.
Here.
Ryan Dietrich.
Here.
And Jen Sommer.
Here.
Thank you. We do have one correction to the agenda. We need to move item 9.3, district restructuring to new business. It'll be item 8.3. It'll be titled Resolution 2025-2026-01 and will be an action item. Any other corrections, you guys? If that is good with everybody, we'll take a motion on item 3.0 to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
With the changes.
With the changes.
With the changes.
We have a second. Who's?
I'll second.
Okay, Elise?
Mike Womack.
Yes.
Kelly Drew. Yes. TJ Heacox.
Yes.
Ryan Dietrich.
Yes.
And Jen Sommer.
Aye.
Item 4.0, public comment. Is there any members of the public signed up to speak? Everybody knows speaking. Okay. 5.0, financial report. Tammy has a brief financial review.
Any questions on that presented?
Report would give me. I do like the new report. It's easy. It's very easy to read. So others.
I will continue with that then. Oh, and just a reminder that the SEI filing is now open. Everybody should have gotten their emails.
I got mine.
Okay, all right.
It came to our old email. It didn't come to school email.
Yeah, whatever email you originally signed up,
Yeah,
probably.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Took 1 month.
Give me the report.
What is that?
Can you give me the report?
During the 8.3.
Item 6.0, principal report. 6.1, school activities and events to report. Sam?
So for the past few weeks, we've been busy across the school with academic activities, community events, and continued collaboration with families and staff. I appreciate the ongoing support from our staff, students, families, and community members who help make these opportunities possible. So on February 25th, we held our Winter Sports Awards, recognizing the hard work and accomplishments of our student athletes throughout the winter season. It was a great opportunity to celebrate their dedication and sportsmanship. We would like to congratulate Sam on competing at the state wrestling tournament. Qualifying for and competing at the state level is a tremendous accomplishment and reflects the efforts and perseverance that he has demonstrated throughout the season. On February 28th, several high school musicians traveled to Scappoose to participate in the high school solo and ensemble festival, where students had the opportunity to perform and receive feedback from adjudicators. Continuing with music events, our high school quintet traveled to St. Helens on March 11th to participate in a state qualifying performance. The 5th and 6th grade students traveled to the Hatfield Marine Science Center on March 12th. Students had an outstanding experience learning about marine science, and we are proud to share that they are in first place during their visit. And then academic and career opportunities. On March 3rd, students attended the Clatsop County Job and Career Fair at the Seaside Civic and Convention Center. This event provided valuable exposure to local employers, career pathways, and post-secondary opportunities. We continue to strengthen connections with families and the community through several events. Our book fair ran from March 2nd through the 6th and was supported by a family craft night, literacy night, and additional library programming. Parent-teacher conferences were held on March 5th and 6th. These meetings provided an important opportunity for teachers and families to discuss student progress, celebrate success, and identify areas of support moving forward. Several students participated in the Assistance League shopping program, which provides support for students and families by helping ensure students have needed clothing and supplies. And looking ahead, our FFA program will be attending the Oregon FFA State Convention later this week, where they will participate in leadership events, competitions, and networking opportunities with students from across the state. Let's move forward.
Thank you. Any discussion on it? Questions?
Thank you.
Item 7, old business, 7.1 district calendars. Everybody had a chance to review the updated calendar?
And this calendar has a few, we moved a few, I think I have. Excuse me. Some September's in there, October's in there, November, we did remove November PD date. December, we threw that in there. Sam, I had it reversed. I had it taken off of November. It was so heavy in there already. January was out, also coming back from break. And then February put one in there, March also, April, and then took out May. And so I had it put down this year, roughly, I believe it's 80 hours of PD this year. And this would bring it down to roughly 48 hours of PD time. I know the board had some discussion also last month about PD in general, the importance of what it was. And so I asked Mr. White if he wanted to give some input about that one. So he prepared some remarks for that.
Yeah, so the board had some really valid concerns and some comments. So I just wanted to take that into consideration. And then I reached out to staff and just got some info there too. So this is a little bit longer than I usually do, but I just wanted to give it I realized I didn't explain it very well last time. So if I could, I'd like to take a moment to more fully explain the research behind the recommendation. The work I'm referencing comes from John Hattie, an educational researcher who conducted one of the largest syntheses of research in education. Rather than looking at a single study or program, Hattie analyzed over 1,500 meta-analysis representing tens of thousands of individual studies and millions of students worldwide. What he was trying to answer was a simple but important question: what actually has the greatest impact on student learning? From that work, he calculated something called an effect size, which is a way of measuring how much impact a particular factor has on student achievement. To give some context, an effect size of 0.4 is considered a hinge point, and it is the average effect size. So that's the input that you put in, the output is a 0.4. So anything above a 0.4 is considered to have greater than average impact. So this gives us a scale to compare different educational strategies and investments. For example, many structural changes like ability grouping of students have relatively modest effect sizes. Some programs and interventions fall around or just above that 0.4 mark. But one factor stands out significantly above almost all others: collective teacher advocacy, with an effect size of approximately 1.57. That is nearly 4 times the impact of a typical effect size. So naturally, the next question is, what is collective teacher advocacy and why is it so important? Collective teacher advocacy is the shared belief among educators that they can positively impact student learning, combined with the coordinated actions they take based on that belief. And the second part is critical. This is not just about mindset and morale. It is about what happens when teachers work together to analyze student data, share instructional strategies, align expectations across classrooms, intervene collectively when students struggle, and take shared responsibility for all students, not just the ones in their own classroom. When those things are in place, schools become far more effective. What the research shows is that in schools with strong collective advocacy, teachers are more consistent in their instruction, students receive more targeted support, gaps in learning are identified and addressed more quickly, and overall student achievement increases significantly. But there is an important takeaway. Collective advocacy does not develop on its own. It is not something you can mandate, and it's not something that happens simply because a group of talented individuals are working in the same building. It develops when schools intentionally create conditions for ongoing collaboration, shared problem solving, reflection on practice, and alignment of instruction. In other words, it requires time, structure, and consistency. Without those conditions, even highly skilled teachers tend to work in isolation. And when teachers work in isolation, the impact on student learning is significantly reduced. So when we talk about professional development, especially monthly, structured professional development, we're not just talking about training sessions. So the other part is just the staff data. So with that data, I wanted to address one concern that you all brought up, which was a valid concern, which is that staff may not want monthly professional development. So we did conduct a staff survey to better understand preferences around professional development structures. And we found that roughly 11% of teachers preferred some sort of hybrid or flexible model, which would have like some sort of Wednesday, Friday combination. About 11% preferred every other month professional development. Around 28% preferred weekly or bi-weekly shorter sessions, so kind of like our Wednesday PD that we are now. And approximately half of the staff selected monthly full-day professional development as a preferred option. So while there is not a complete consensus, which is expected in any organization, the majority of staff are clearly supporting regular, consistent professional development opportunities. But even more important than the percentages are the themes within the responses. When we analyze staff feedback, several consistent themes emerged. Staff expressed a need for time to engage deeply in professional learning rather than surface level exposure, opportunities for meaningful collaboration with colleagues, structures that allow for alignment across grade levels and content areas, dedicated time for RTI processes, planning and problem solving. And we also heard concern that shorter fragmented sessions often feel rushed or unproductive. So what staff are telling us is not that they don't want professional development. They're telling us that they want it to be purposeful, coherent, and worth the time invested. So why monthly? So why not every other month or shorter weekly sessions? And these are just kind of sentences that I thought of. Firstly, monthly professional development allows for depth of learning. Shorter sessions often get consumed by logistics, announcements, or surface level discussions. A full day creates a space for learning new strategies, collaborating with peers, planning for implementation, and reflecting on practice. If we want to see meaningful changes in instruction, we need time for more than just exposure. We need time for application and refinement. So second, monthly professional development supports continuous improvement cycles. In education, improvement happens through a cycle. That cycle is learning, implementation, reflection, and adjustment. A monthly structure allows teachers to learn something new, apply it in their classrooms over several weeks, return with evidence of student learning, and refine their approach. This creates a continuous feedback loop that drives instructional improvement, while also providing an opportunity to give administrators feedback on what is working and not working in our new system. If professional development is too infrequent, the cycle breaks down. If it is too fragmented, it never fully follows. Third, and most importantly, monthly professional development that builds collective teacher efficacy. That's what I brought up in the beginning. So if we believe that collective efficacy is one of the strongest drivers of student achievement, and the research tells us that, then we must create the conditions for it to grow. And that just means consistent collaboration, shared problem solving, alignment of practices, and collective responsibility for student outcomes. Those things require predictable, protected time, and monthly professional development provides us structure. So the last piece, which is kind of the newer part that we're all going to discuss, is the reality that we're facing as a district, which is with reduced staffing. Our teachers may be asked to serve a wider range of student needs, take on additional responsibilities, collaborate across roles and grade levels in new ways. Reduce staffing without strengthening collaboration may increase isolation, and isolation undermines effectiveness. So monthly professional development is not an additional expectation placed on staff. It is a support system that allows them to meet the increased expectations we're asking to fill. So just a real quick recap before I close. The proposal is not about increasing the overall amount of time. It's about organizing time in a way that's more effective and more impactful. Our survey data and staff, the second part, our survey data and staff feedback indicates that educators value collaboration, consistency, and meaningful professional learning. The conversation is not about whether professional development is needed, but about how to structure it effectively. So third, instructional time. While instructional time is absolutely important, research consistently shows that the quality of instruction has a far greater impact on student outcomes than small variations in seat time. Investing in stronger instruction leads to stronger results. So in closing, if we're asking our educators to do more with less, and we are, then we must also invest in the structures that allow them to succeed. We can't rely on individual effort alone. We must strengthen our collective capacity. Monthly professional development is not an add-on. It's not an extra initiative. It's a structure that allows us to maintain and improve student learning in the systems we're moving into. That's my lead.
Thank you. Yeah, just clarifying, I mean, last month's meeting was, we were kind of handed a schedule that showed once a month with quite a bit of random dates and not a lot of information to back it up. So I appreciate the staff involvement on trying to get some feedback on that.
Can I ask a question? When you go to these meetings, is there an agenda that you're going to discuss, and who sets the agenda and who kind of runs the meeting so that people know when they come in, okay, this is really going to pertain to me, but this really doesn't pertain to me at this particular time. So if it doesn't pertain to me, do I still have to go, or can I just go do something else? So how do you run these so that they're equitable for everybody and everybody's going to learn something?
Right, and that's the difficulties with like the Wednesday PDs, so we only have like 2 hours. We have elementary, middle, and high school teams, so we do have like running agendas with, we set the topics, we typically rotate between like student support team stuff, and then grade level meetings where we talk about just logistics of what the next week's going to look like, what month is going to look like. And then, we have, we did our Galen manual work that we were doing, and then every once in a while, like, Corey will have something that we'll need to talk about, or if we have updates on like special education and things like that, we can bring in Suzanne to talk about those things.
And then since you're involved in, obviously you're talking about your students and curriculum and stuff like that, are your TAs invited to these meetings also so that they know what is expected of them when they come into the classroom? Or are they kind of excluded from this?
They are excluded to some extent, yeah. We need to improve our EAs.
Yeah, because it doesn't do any good to be in the classroom if you don't know what you're supposed to do.
But the bulk of, and that is totally true, but the bulk of professional development is focused on instruction, which is the truth.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion on this, Calvin?
And we just changed it on that to 8 to 3. Right?
Correct. Did you? Yes, yeah, you did. Yep. Yeah. You talking about the student hour, student to 8 to 3.
I guess I did more efficient. Has
That's
anybody,
from the 8:30.
Last time it was it 8:30 last time?
Yeah.
Oh,
It
okay,
was 8:30.
gotcha. So this is correct.
has anybody checked with our parents and our kids to find out if people can actually get daycare for kids who are not going to go to school all day on a Friday?
Right.
I mean, how many people can just take off work to have a whole day off? I mean, that concerns me. That concerns me a lot. That you've got a whole day that somebody's got to find childcare for younger kids.
This could be, I mean, that's on TJ before also. I mean, if we don't pass this until April, I mean, I'm not in a rush to get this through, but we've got another board meeting. We could send something out to our community and say, these are, if the board is okay with these specific dates, and 6 of them, we can send those specific dates out there and see what kind of feedback we get.
But has anybody even mentioned to the community that this is a possibility? That
Not these dates, no.
I think we should absolutely put it out there,
absolutely,
though.
because this is going to be a shock to me. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it's, yeah, I just think that they need to be very aware of what's,
But the Wednesdays are going potentially.
Yeah.
away.
yeah, and they're going to a full day.
Okay, cool.
We agree to table that. So we will table to next month's meeting, 7.1.
How long would it take to obtain community input on this kind of a change?
I don't think it'd be challenging. Get something up, say by right for spring break for
Uh-huh,
a couple weeks,
uh-huh.
and then have something for the April board meeting.
Excellent, thank you.
So would we send out something email wise and then a paper copy with the students to bring home something, make sure?
I'd say probably the best thing we can have is maybe virtual or something, an all call or something. I assume virtual would probably be the better option, to be honest with you, each everybody, but we have multiple ways to make connections and meetings.
And maybe put an announcement on the website that says we're gonna discuss this again,
Mhm.
and they can come if they
Right.
want to the next meeting.
Because I really would like community input for especially parents who have small children to see how this is going to affect them. And maybe it's not going to affect them at all. Maybe it's fine with it. But I really think that we've got to check with their parents.
Just for full transparency, putting it out there.
Mhm. Yeah,
We
because I
should-
would not be
we
happy
should.
if this all of a sudden got passed and I knew nothing about it. I had small children.
And this is my naivete here, but is there a potential for the school to offer some sort of program for the kids during this day that's not school, but still some kind of program for them? So that there's a place for them to go and the parents can feel comfortable that they don't have to worry about childcare?
And so that we talked about.
Okay.
You talk about,
That's a,
you're talking more or less like elementary.
Right, yeah, kids who really shouldn't be home alone. Yeah.
And I'm not sure the cost, but I mean, is there options of bringing in subs on these PD days to still get your staff? You know, to not have the full day so kids go to school, but they have a sub essentially while elementary does PD or. But I don't know if that works for the staff as far as, you know, if that gives them enough, but I mean, it would keep the kids in the school, which is our goal. And maybe give the staff enough PD. I don't know.
I mean, ultimately, yeah. Yeah, let me process that. Ultimately, I'm thinking staff wise, it depends how the PD is laid out. I'm thinking also if we have, you mentioned about classified, what are they doing during some PD moments there? And there has been some discussions also about if we do a full day, is classified involved for the full day, or they're involved for part of the day, what would that look
It's
like?
like April 22nd, I think we have a high dosage tutoring and training for our EAs. And so we have to get subs for all of our EAs for that day because it's a whole day.
I just don't want to take something away from classified staff, if that makes sense. Bringing somebody else in, if there's an opportunity, it just depends on what that looks like. I'm going to protect them.
Yeah, it'd be great to know what kind of percentage of feedback we're getting too, if it goes out for some sort of survey.
Okay.
Okay, item 8.0, new business, 8.1, 26, 27 board calendar draft. Seems pretty straightforward to me. Any questions on that? Can't approve that one if we're all good with that one.
Yeah.
I'll take a motion.
I'll make motion to approve the board calendar for the 26-27 school year as presented.
Made by Director Drew. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Director Dietrich.
Mike Wammack,
Yes.
Patty Drew,
Yes.
TJ Heathcote.
Yes.
Ryan Dietrich.
Yes.
And Jen Song.
Yes.
Okay, item 8.2, policy EFA local wellness.
So I know we've reported to you twice so far in the last couple of board meetings about the local wellness policy. Last month, I also gave an update about a community and district process, how we went through and reviewed this whole policy. In the end, it's a strong policy. We've had a strong policy for quite some time. Only changes that you can see highlighted in yellow I proposed is instead of having a principal responsible for ensuring each school, which we are the one and only school here in the district, I just logistically changed that to the superintendent. Which still means I will be asking the principal to follow suit with the here, just to make sure Levy-Dwight will follow suit with that. The updates you'll see on page 3-7, we have the Oregon Health Education Standards. We talked about that's referenced in there, but we want to make sure that the community and anybody who's going to our site can actually click on that to see what this actually referencing. So we know that exactly what's being talked about. Same thing on page 4, school meals, the Hunger Free Kids Act, the same thing, putting a link in there to make sure everybody has access to the information. And then further at the bottom, also the Oregon Smart Snacks Standards, the same thing as well. And the only other change is page 6-7. This has something to do with our, one of the goals that we had put forward by adding number 10, which is, this is an OSBA language. Creation of connections between out-of-school time, that's OST programs, that involve staff members from OST programs, both school and community-based, in-school initiatives that address healthy eating, such as school teams or wellness committees. And basically, what the main gist of that is creating a wellness committee with members from the outside community, with our student base inside, and also the district members as well, so we can work on what that might look like for our community. it's been a while since I think we had a wellness committee. If anybody in the audience has been here for quite some time, I know it's been quite a while since we've been focusing on that. And through our meetings that we had with the team, for those 2 separate meetings we had, that was one of the priorities they wanted, is to have the district bring that back for a wellness committee. So I threw that in there so we can make that happen in years ahead. So that's the only changes to the policy. So, and you're free to review it, obviously.
Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward to me with pretty minor changes. I don't know if you guys want to have a second reading on this policy, if you feel comfortable.
I'm comfortable with the way it stands. I mean, we really didn't change anything.
Not very much, no. This is part of that triennial assessment that is required by ODE. And so once we have all the minutes, I believe, up on our website at this moment, all the other things as well. This is the final part of the package that we had to submit to ODE. That this has now been, the whole triennial assessment has been completed once this is all done. Okay. And then we review it again at the latest in 3 years. It's required by districts to do it.
Well, if we are good, it seems like we are, I think. Pretty good there, Mike, on that?
Very good.
We can take a motion to approve that policy.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve local wellness EFA notations in the packet under yellow as presented.
Made by Director Drew, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Mike Womack,
Yes.
Patty Drew,
Yes.
TJ Hecox.
Yes.
Ryan Dietrich.
Yeah.
And Jen Sauer.
Yes.
Janet, thank you. Item 8.3, resolution 2025-26-01. I need to declare an actual conflict of interest on this matter, so Corey will give some information.
Okay, so I'm going to read a few components here. So it's for the board, also for everybody listening here and also online. So back in 2024, when I first took chair in this office as interim superintendent, they have that conservation plan was something that came through. I remember when I was working in the music position back in 2011, the HCP was also enacted, and it came around at that time, I believe, under Superintendent Hunsaker at that time. And through that process, communicating with the board and everything else about where this is going and what would potentially happen. Back in March of 2024, down in Salem at the Capitol, Board of Forestry, not all unanimous by any means, but it did pass the HCP, and it's moved on to the federal level in a communication with my contacts that is still at the federal level, waiting for that to be enacted and approved. If so, it comes back to the state of Oregon, and then we go forth, and the HCP is at that point moving forward. I'm going to just reference, this is very brief. So HCP is titled officially the Western Oregon State Forest Habitat Conservation Plan. Again, HCP is a 70, I want to express that again, 70-year plan. It's an environmental management strategy approved by the Oregon Board of Forestry. And that board has changed members since then. Our state forester is also just, a new one has just been appointed as of a few weeks ago here. I mentioned that at the last board meeting. So March 2024, that plan had been approved. The goal of this is to protect 17 threatened or endangered species by restricting logging on approximately 650,000 acres of state-owned land, which Jewel School District sits right in the smack of a massive chunk of it. So for the Jewel School District, as I've been reporting multiple times at all the board meetings for almost 4 years at this point, this plan poses a direct threat to your unique financial model for how we budget for how we run our school. So unlike 98% of Oregon school districts that rely on the state's per pupil funding, or the pot as we would know it as the state school fund, with the HCP, I believe there are, Tammy, correct me if I'm wrong, four school districts impacted. Jewel is by far the biggest impacted district in the entire state of Oregon. I've even been at the governor's office almost begging and pleading. I mean, it was basically begging and pleading to help. And I won't go into the whole history of that. We've done that ad nauseum during the board meetings here. Jewel is nearly self-funded with this timber revenue. It's a special formula, which I hear board members tell me we do not want this formula to be altered. We do not want it to be changed at all. And because the district is located within the Clatsop State Forest, we receive a direct cut of timber harvest revenues. Our property taxes pay for, I'm just loosely saying, 700,000 plus or so. Obviously not enough to run our district by any means. The timber receipts that come in, that's nearly 100% of how we have funded this district in my 19 years here and well before my time as well. Okay, the loss for the district, the HCP is projected to reduce logging in the Clatsop State Forest by roughly 35%. Currently, the board per million board per feet is set for at 220 right now. There are some legal issues going on right now where there's being pushed to try to get up another 60 board feet to 280. But that's been going on for a couple of months at this point. Operating budget has fluctuated over years for our district. 4 million, 5 million, it just depends on how much money had been coming in during that time frame, and it has been that way for a long time. Under the state's standard funding formula, again, that's the state school fund, the pot that everybody shares in the state of Oregon, it would kick in if the district, if the money fails, which is why we're bringing this up and have been bringing it up for quite some time. Roughly, we figured it's all based off of our ADM, which is the student population, the enrollment that we have in the district. That is vital for this district, student enrollment. I want to clarify also when I say this, I don't think there's a single school district for the most part. I know there's one, I know for sure there's one, but a mass entity of schools, their enrollment have taken a hit since COVID and has not returned. And I thought, maybe our place would be different also at some point, because I think we handled the pandemic a little differently than the other Clatsop County schools, but we took a hit. We definitely took a hit with enrollment for sure. So with currently what we have, I know Tammy provided some budget numbers for me this morning. If we're on state school fund, I think that was for 26-27. It's roughly 3.3 million. And I've been trying to figure out how we're going to get our district down to the 3.5 million. I know the board asked me that if I'm going to be doing something at some point, if we did it all at once, it would impact our students greatly in the district. And I am not, obviously I'm not into, nobody wants to do that with our students. So we had to bring it down to a little different phase here. And so I told you, I didn't tell you, but I asked you if you would mind if I can come to the board, which is this month here from the last board meeting with the proposals, you guys. Because if we don't move, I'm trying to help save the district here financially. I don't know of a way around this at the current moment. So about 3.5 for the state school fund, trying to get it there. And I said, this current scenario that we have right now is creating a fiscal deficit for our district. We're going to go into a slideshow in just a moment, but I do want to say our first 2 quarterly timber reports have I been reporting at our board meetings. Year to date right now, just the 2, we have an accumulation right now of 1.392 million. That is a pretty large drastic hole there. I mean, Tammy and I have talked about this. I do not see a way that we are not going to have to dip into our reserve funds. And that money is, I'm going to say, I can't be too excited and say it's not going to come back with my emotions. But that money, there's nothing coming into it. There's nothing coming into it. But I also want to preempt, as I've been very open about this as well, when those timber sales take place, they've got 3 years to harvest those things. So you could get a really good, robust quarter 3 and 4 coming up, but we won't even know the 4th quarter until August. We won't even know the next one until what?
May.
Until sometime in May. We won't know those numbers, but if we're going to, as I expressed before, if we move forward and we're hoping and being optimistic with what is being projected, which isn't robust by any means, and those projections have been drastically wrong some years as well. So if we're going to go under the course that we're thinking about, oh, we'll be okay, we're going to not make any adjustments. Once we find ourselves 2 million in the hole for this year alone, and then try to budget for next year with a very similar budget, your reserves go from 11 to 9, from 9 to 7, and the clock is ticking. We're down to 4 or 5 years. And then we are no longer dependent. We'll be fully needing support by the state. And we can't, I'm not going to say we can't, but are we going to pass bonds out here? I mean, we already know the answers to those things. We've got a gym roof that I got to figure out somehow how to save that gym roof. It's been patched for over a decade. So some of the repairs you're building is beautiful. Let me phrase that, our building is beautiful. It's 20 years old. It's 20 years old. We got a boiler that I got to fix. I've got an oven at some point that needs to be repaired as well. We got a gym over here, a brand new gym. That was my first project when I got on after that had been passed. It doesn't have an exit door. So we're trying to utilize that. So there's a number of things that I'm trying to project in my head of how do we support that? Ultimately, my mindset, students and why we serve here have to maintain and they come first here. So I want to go a little bit further with some of the components here. I've asked Tammy if she would mind giving just a little bit of a presentation about some of the things I know we presented to the staff. Not all the staff were there at the time. I think the board also has seen some of this, but I really want to make sure for those who are new, whether we're here in person or online here, have a chance to see what this is. So I told Tammy if she would mind, please come in, give the brief presentation, and I'll continue on after that.
So how we got here. Again, this is just the ORS that we follow to receive our timber revenue. This is in law. This is how it's allocated to us and other school districts around. Kind of read that before. I will skip to this one because it's kind of the same information, but in a visual here. So when a timber sale happens in Clatsop County, the revenue is allocated according to this. So 36.25% of that sale stays with state forestry. 63.75% of it is distributed to Clatsop County. 10% goes to county expenses, 1% to law enforcement of the timber codes, and then 25% goes to the county school fund based on ADM. We do also receive that. But again, as we talked about our ADM, we receive considerably less than other school districts in Clatsop County because of our ADM. The remaining revenue is then distributed to the taxing districts in which the timber sale occurred. So we are taxing districts 801, 802, and 803. And so again, when those sales happen in our districts, in one of those districts, we get that revenue. And that is what we call the state timber revenue. And again, when a sale happens, they have 3 years to harvest it. And again, our money can come in anytime during those 3 years. Another point that Mr. Peterson did talk about was that we will not see our fourth quarter timber revenue until we are into the following year, which makes it very difficult to predict, to budget. I have been looking, they do put out some projections. I've compared their projections to past actuals, and it's really difficult to project. It's really difficult to project. There's so many different factors that go into the logging industry. So timber revenue and the state school fund formula. So the state school fund formula is comprised of local revenue, and the timber revenue is considered local revenue. And so if the local revenue comes in below what would be allocated to us through the state school fund based on ADM and a few other factors, then it is adjusted by the state, and the state fills in that gap.
And that's why we haven't seen any state school funds, because the amount of we get from the timber always exceeds that amount. So we do not see any state school funds.
And that's shown in number 3 there.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So when our timber revenue exceeds it, then we get to retain that. And that is what has been building our reserves over the years. So this is a graph talking about enrollment. The school enrollment is in orange, and the FTE full-time equivalent staff is in blue. Just kind of a good visual to show where we're at, and you can see there, student enrollment in 2021, that was during the pandemic. Just a little information. I pulled this because I thought this was interesting to compare us to other school districts in our area. This is kind of our class size, our student per teacher FTE comparison. So you can see on the far left is the Rainier School District. They have 17.85 students per FTE, and Jewel is down there at 7.14. And the average for this group is 14.32. We also wanted to talk about where the money from fiscal year 26 that we're currently in is going. 67.87% is going to staff, and that's salaries and benefits. And 32.13 is for all other categories. This is just the same information that was in the board packet, just so everyone can see. What we want to look at is in the middle, the yellow, the year-to-date state sources. That is our timber revenue. On the far left in the blue is 2024. At this time, this the timber revenue. The middle one is 2025, the yellow. And then you can see the blue, there is 2026. So it shows our
Already
revenue is declining.
half the revenue we were in 2 years ago already.
And then here's our year-to-date expenditures. Year-to-date salaries, 2.5 million. Year-to-date purchase services, this also includes sub-services, $555,000. Supplies, materials, $223,000. Are you ready for me to show that final slide?
Yeah, and I was just gonna mention, it's like the salaries and benefits, everything is going up. Same thing, insurance costs. We don't have those numbers yet. I know we're getting close to getting that information. Those costs are also going up as well. And just in general, insurance for the district, but also for health insurance, but for everybody in the district, everything's rising. And so you've got student enrollment decline, you've got financial decline, you've got staff amounts still very high. And the gap is just getting wider and wider. Okay, so I'll go on to the next section. Yeah,
Want me to do that?
you can, yeah, that's fine. So the purpose, I'm going to just summarize some of the things I put together. So the district, this is for me, the district must proactively address the widening gap between current staffing levels and declining enrollment trends to ensure long-term fiscal stability and align operational capacity with projected revenues. It is necessary to initiate a reduction in force. This is my recommendation. This adjustment will involve the consolidation. I want you to hear this very clearly. This adjustment will involve the consolidation and elimination of specific course offerings. I'm not talking programs. I'm talking course offerings based on current enrollment data. The decisions are guided by our commitment to prioritizing student learning, academic excellence, and core programming, while ensuring that all staffing adjustments strictly adhere to the collective bargaining agreement, CBA, guidelines to maintain fairness and minimize the impact on student outcomes. Some of the principles, the guiding principles that have led my work in the last couple of weeks here is following CBA seniority and licensure rules. Staff reductions occur accordingly to seniority, licensure, and endorsement areas consistent with Oregon law, which I've been working with quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, and the Dual Education Association agreements and the OSCA as well. Priorities, excuse me. Maintaining academic readiness, our core programs, which are very solid in the district, CT opportunities. That is a major push through the state of Oregon, maintaining CT opportunities, extracurricular activities, athletics, arts, student clubs, and provide social emotional support as programmatic anchors for the district. I am not looking to I'm not looking to eliminate programs for the district. I want to express that again, I'm not looking to eliminate programs for the district. I'd like to provide the programs that we have here in the district. It might look a little different with some consolidations taking place, but I'd like to continue to provide the same programs we have in the district for our students. Consolidate low enrollment classes, phase out or merge classes serving the few students when support can be provided through existing systems / classes. And then using grants strategically, maximize student investment account, which also took a hit this year statewide, made it in the middle of the year. High school success, that also took a hit, and we also took hits on both those grants. Those are large grants. One is 200 and almost 200 and something, 10,000 or so for the district SIA. High school success, if I'm wrong, 60,000-ish or so. And then the early childhood literacy success grant, which comes in about 65, 70,000 or so as well. And being very strategic about how we utilize those funds. We have utilized them for staffing to some degree over the years, but we've been pretty creative with them over the years. But at this point, my recommendation is follow suit with pretty much every other district in Clatsop County and beyond, which is utilize these funds to help pay for some FTE in the district here. Proposed reduction, I have 5.0 FTE for certified. That would bring it. When I give you these amounts, I want you to understand this is general, right in the middle of the numbers. This is not accurate amounts. This is just in the general. I'll give you the context of my numbers here. 5.0 FTE certified, which saves about 590,000. And remember that number is going to adjust depending on what happens if we move forward. 4.0 FTE classified staff, that's 210,000. 0.5 FTE non-rep staff, that is 40,000. It brings a total to 840,000. That is roughly the gap, albeit this is for next year. That is the gap that I feel we have to make up between 750 and I'm just throwing out about 850,000 to equalize to the state school fund level. Programs, as I said before, would we maintain? You would have the programs we have now. You still have band, you still have sports, you still have ag, you still have construction. But the consolidation aspect from K all the way through 12 would be considered very much so to provide what we need for our students and keep that impact very, very, very minimal for them here. And I just put on my little note here. Collective bargaining agreement alignment staff reductions, as I mentioned before, we follow the language by state law and also what's within the contract for the OACA and also the JEA. And then reassignments aligned with licensure requirements if needed as well. So that is my proposal. I know there's a resolution also that has the gist of basically most of these items on here, but that's my presentation. If you guys have any questions, though, obviously please share it. If I can't answer them today, I'll definitely take notes, but I will be happy to answer whatever.
Is there any discussion?
I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just not there.
Money's not there.
It's the money's not there. I mean, I'm devastated by this.
And I'm looking at my staff who I love my staff. I'm looking at all your eyes. I mean, this is, as I said, this is the most unprofessional word you're going to hear me say. This sucks. I have a responsibility to the district. It's my job. And my job comes first. My heart breaks. It really, really breaks.
Well, I will probably have the vice chair take the vote. And so we will need to read the resolution if it's read the full resolution.
Jewel School District number 8, resolution number 2025-2026-01. Resolution authorizing a reduction in force and program reductions. Whereas the Board of Directors of Jewel School District number 8, the district, has the authority and responsibility under Oregon law ORS 332.072 and ORS 342.934 to manage the district programs and personnel in a manner that ensures fiscal stability and educational quality. And whereas the district has experienced a significant decline in student enrollment, dropping from 145 students to a current 110 students, a 24.1% reduction since the COVID-19 pandemic. While staffing levels of 40-45 employees have remained relatively unchanged for a couple of decades. And whereas the current student to staff ratios no longer aligns with the district's student enrollment, operational needs, or the realities of its projected declining revenue. And whereas the district receives nearly 100% of its operating budget from local revenue, state timber, rather than the Oregon State School Fund, making the budget uniquely sensitive to fluctuations in logging receipts. And whereas the district budgeted $3,600,000 in timber revenue for the 2025 and 2026 school year, but has only received $1,392,000 through the first two quarters, leaving a potential deficit exceeding $2 million for the current fiscal year. And whereas additional external factors, including the implementation of the Habitat Conservation Plan, HCP, has significantly restricted timber harvests, leading to a foreseeable and potentially permanent reduction in the robust historical revenue levels the district has relied upon for decades. And whereas the district faced additional mid-year reductions in the state level grants, including the Student Investment Account, SIA, and the High School Success Rate. And whereas the board finds the lack of funds and an administrative decision leading to an elimination or adjustment of certain classes due to current student enrollment, including class consolidation, necessitate a reduction in force for the 2026-2027 school year. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the school board of directors, Jewel School District Number 8. Number 1, determination of necessity. The board hereby determines that a RIF or RIF reduction in force for the 2026-2027 school year is necessary due to a projected lack of funds and administrative decisions to consolidate classes and programs to align with student enrollment. Number 2, authorization of reductions. The superintendent is authorized and directed to implement a reduction of the following FTE effective June 30th, 2026. 9.5 FTE licensed certified staff, classified non-represented staff. Number 3, procedure for reductions. The superintendent is authorized to take all actions the superintendent deems necessary or advisable to implement the reduction in force procedures. No further action by the board is necessary. All reductions shall be conducted in accordance with Oregon Revised Statutes ORS 342.934, applicable collective bargaining agreements, and board policy. For the licensed staff, retention shall align with the state law and collective bargaining agreement with the Jewel School Education Association. For classified staff, reductions shall follow the seniority and layout provisions outlined in the collective bargaining agreement with chapter 145 of the Oregon School Employees Association. Number 4, notice to employees. The superintendent or its designee will provide written notice to all affected employees in accordance with the contractual and statutory timelines. Number 5, notice to associations. The district shall provide written notice to the Jewel Education Association, JEA, and the Chapter 145 of the Oregon School Employees Association, OSEA, regarding these reductions as required by law. Number 6, administrative authority. Superintendent is authorized to take all necessary steps to reorganize schedules, consolidate classes from the elementary through high school, and reassign remaining staff to ensure the continued delivery of the district's core educational mission. This resolution is intended to assist the superintendent in addressing the uniquely challenging financial circumstances that the district faces for the 2026 fiscal, the 2027 fiscal year. Adopted by the Board of Directors of the Jewel School District Number 8, this 16th day of 2026.
Any discussion? We'll take a vote. Please, we don't.
Oh, Mike Womack,
I'll have to sustain due to facts.
Patty Drew,
Yes.
Abstain.
Randy Dietrich.
Yeah.
And James on.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. That is not anything any of us want to do. None of that makes it any better for anybody else, but that is, it is our number one responsibility to be physically responsible with the district's funds. And when we see a wall coming, we have to do whatever we can to try to curve and prolong what we can. That'll bring us to 9.0 superintendent report, 9.1 community organizations active in disaster. So
I apologize, I do not remember the exact date I had this group came out. They wrote back to me on March 11th recently. So COAD is Communities in Action in Disaster. So I know with the safety team, the district has been working on building our emergency operations plan. I've been giving updates to the board regularly with that as well. And we talked about looking at what that looks like in terms of supporting our district and our community moving forward with some emergency operation that is in effect some sort of how we move forward with it. This group did reach out and wanted to provide some supports. COAD is called again Communities in Action in Disaster. It's a network of community-based organizations that collaborate to coordinate resources and support before, during, and after a disaster. And so I met with 3 individuals, Jennifer Mello from OSU. I don't know if anyone else knows these individuals. Jen Munson, she's Clatsop County Emergency Management, CCE EM. And then the gal I work with is great. She would not give me her last name. Her name is Jack. And these individuals came out and wanted to know about our emergency operation plan and how they can support our district moving forward with what we have. This is challenging to get through. I'm sorry. It's very challenging. I'm trying to stay focused. I'll do my best to get through this. As we continue building our operation plan, they said they can help collaborate and assist us with this process, with helping us find community-based organizations out in Clatsop County and Columbia County to help support us for any supports we might need in the district before a situation and during one and also after the fact. They can help us with identifying things such as food, shelter, transportation, and they are very much aware of where we're located in the middle of the coast range here. They can help with community-wide drills, with school administration leadership to help build relationships with local first responders and community leaders and helping improve communication with these organizations. And they can also help to strengthen our response and efforts overall as we build our items here. And also unification support, assisting in that process with reunification. They sent me also on the 11th, they sent me this information here. She said, I'm attaching an outline of the working groups that I mentioned that they currently now have organized with COAD. So for each of these areas, And using the example of a potential emergency in Jewel or the surrounding area, I would be interested in further digging into both the challenges and the partnership opportunities that exist to serve your students, their families, and other local residents who might need help in an emergency. And so I won't go through all of these, but they have different, it sounds like these are different teams and different groups that meet on a regular basis. So the items are physical structures. So those are groups that will be learning about the current state of long-term emergency structures, like emergency operation plan structure that we have a plan. They have a group for food and water, they have a group for medical support, donation management. So you've seen some school districts hit quickly with fires and whatnot, how to rebuild after the fact. Volunteer management, it goes on with a few more here. And the idea is that these groups work together to come up with these community supports, whatnot, and then they share that information out to the COAD, who is, Jackie and Jennifer and Jen, all the 3 J's. And they would work with our district and help support us with whatever our needs might be locally. They'd like to meet with us to find out what those might be in conjunction with our current operation, which is building this operation plan and getting it into place for next year. I'm looking at it as we're working on that already. How can we also help support from the back end as well? Because if I'm being frank, we didn't think about the recovery effort. We were just trying to get through the process of getting through the disaster, unifying families together with kids and ourselves here with each other and where we need to go. But then we haven't got to the other part, which is what do we do after that? So I just want you to be aware that that is another side of the organization as we continue to try to build our partnerships and bring Jewel into Columbia and Clatsop counties where they have all the supports out in those areas, and we don't necessarily have them out here outside of fire and police support here, insurance station here. So I'm trying to get a little bit more buy-in with that and opening that world to who we are in Jewel. So I just, any questions, that's fine. I just want you to be aware that that's part of the package I'm bringing into the mix as well here for the rounded package of it all.
Any questions? 9.2 contract negotiations.
And then this one is going to be brief. So we are working towards a 4-year, potentially 4-year. We haven't discussed what the term is. Contract negotiations with the certified staff, the teaching staff here. They're waiting for this meeting today. They're waiting to find out what the potential reduction force, we move forward, what that would look like. And I will just mention, I didn't get a chance here, and I referenced both unions that by Friday, individuals will know by Friday. I have more time than that, but I asked each union rep if they thought before spring break would be the best time to get this done before, not waiting until after spring break. And so I will work very diligently tomorrow and Wednesday and then communicate with legal as well as putting letters and forms together. And then Thursday we'll be reaching out to any impacted staff regarding the RIF. Not telling them in an email or a letter, but that email and letter that will go to them on Thursday is basically saying we're going to schedule a meeting with the superintendent for Friday. And then I'm going to have Elise help me build my schedule for Friday based off that information. And it will be done in private with myself and a union rep if they would like to have so. And then at that point, then, once Friday's done, it's going to be a challenging day in this district. It's going to be a very challenging day. And then contract negotiations, I know we're going to pick those up right after spring break. I'm not exactly sure the time frame for that, but we do need to move on that. I just don't know the duration. We've negotiated certified 2 years ago, classified last year, certified again this year, classified again next year. That's 4 years in a row of negotiations. All because of the HCP not knowing what we're going to be doing. The challenging part about this specific time is we don't have any more information than we had prior, other than we are continuing to lose money than we did the first round with the certified and last year with the classified. It's very hard to negotiate a contract when you don't really know what your money is. So the best course of action, and what we've talked about, is that state school fund. That is a sure thing that we know we will have that support. And so this, as I said before, this is phase 1. I'm hoping we don't have to go to phase 2. But if we don't start dwindling, which is what we just did here, dwindling, trying to get down to the state school fund, it's going to be a world of hurt very shortly, beyond what we're going to feel here. So,
Do we have any idea when we're going to know about insurance? What insurance costs are going to be for next year?
Health insurance. yes and no by statute. They can't increase it more than, I want to say 3.2 or 3.5%. It's just going to be like, what are the takeaways that, you know, that OEB is negotiating with ODEP, is how I understand that process to work. We are kind of working on some other alternative insurance situation.
Because that's a big chunk.
Huge chunk.
But the other thing is a potential option for the district to look at, which will help save some funds.
Our liability is higher.
What was that?
Our liability insurance is higher.
Okay, 10.0.
No, is that gonna give the staff time? Isn't there a workshop coming up for future staff, teachers?
I'm sorry.
Isn't there a workshop coming up where teachers can go out and put their applications in, and like this week coming up?
Yeah, I mean, this Thursday,
This Thursday.
this Thursday is one of the ones, yeah, there's one going around.
It's a really big one, and they put 10 other schools in Portland closing.
Yeah, and the ones in, that one is in Salem, yeah, it's Thursday. And that one they do on the website, produce a list, a massive list. It may take them about a week or two, meaning the place down in Salem, it's the state hiring fair for educators. And they do push a whole bunch of information out through there. So, and that, I believe that list, at least in my understanding last year, they sent it out about a month, not even a month, a couple of weeks after the fact of all the people hiring. And, yeah. And obviously I'll be more than happy to provide letters, all sorts of stuff, whatever to help our people here get on their feet quick as fast as possible. I just want to say nobody did anything wrong. Nobody's done anything wrong. I don't want our staff feeling that they did anything wrong at all.
No, I think they, hopefully they know how much we've been fighting with the state in every aspect that we can legally to try to copy down this road that we're in.
I think everybody walking out without saying anything, I think that speaks the biggest volume. They have to understand. They understand. And if they didn't, it would be louder. They would be loud about it. I guarantee that. They didn't disagree with it to some degree. It's not fair. It's not fair. No, but nobody ever said it was.
Life's not fair.
Just didn't want them to lose that opportunity.
Yeah.
Right, I want them to have
Absolutely.
notice possible to be able to get, you know, be first in line if they know. So.
Yeah, it's only like Thursday.
Yeah. And I gotta be honest with you, I gotta protect the district as well through the process. It's a very legal process. And that's my number one thing is I know it was requested that, can I have this done by tomorrow? And I'll be honest with you, I cannot have this all done by tomorrow. It's an impossible task for me to get that wrapped up. And then, yeah, I can't get it all done one day. And I said, if I can get it done sooner than that Thursday to get the information out there, I'll do my best, but I can't get it all done in 2 days because I have to contact all my legal counsel. I got to contact TSPC, you know, licensure and all those things and make sure I get everybody in alignment. And just because I'm going to call them doesn't mean they're going to answer. That was my issue in the last couple of weeks, getting all this other stuff together. Just getting everybody coordinated as best I can. And like I said, I'll do my best to get it done. But Friday is what I've been touting for over a week and a half at this point. It's just when the key numbers came out, that's when people are like, oh, we got to know by Tuesday, but I had to keep the district protected. I can't screw this up. I got to make sure I'm solid when I go into those meetings with the letters that I have, that they've been vetted by everybody and that the district is making good notes. Because if you get a grievance, which is, I don't look at a grievance as a bad thing. I look at it as, oh, there could be some mistakes or misunderstanding. How do we go back and try to correct that? And I'm doing my best to make sure that there's no grievance, but I can't tell you there won't be one. You know, you could have somebody disagree with something and we may have to defend it, you know, as a district and all. I'll do my work on all that, but it doesn't mean we won't get a grievance of some sort down the road. So, but that's, yeah. And Friday, I think 4 more days. I think that's where I'm gonna line. I still think that's where we'll be. And then staff are wanting time over spring break to do what you're talking about, which is getting out there. And I will sit up all Friday night. I'll do Saturday. I get letters out, whatever they want. I don't talk to them. I will provide whatever they need for supports to get them launching and going. I don't want to hold them up.
When is our court date for the
That is
HCP?
Wednesday.
That's this
So I
Wednesday.
will be traveling down, I'll be leaving at about 5:45, 5 in the morning, Wednesday. And at some point, I do want to give the board an update about that one. I will be meeting our attorney down there. I won't give too specifics right now because I've been all that stuff with him in a public session, but that appeal, which I believe has been a year ago from this past October. This is what, we've been waiting for. But I do have a number of questions and I'm going to, after the fact, talk to him. I already called him today and said, when this is done, I have some things I want to talk to you about that I did not want to talk to you about before the case goes forward. And then I would like to have another conversation with the board right after this case. So I will probably, I'll definitely be chatting with you, sure, about that. Definitely. When I say chatting with him, I'm asking, I'm going to be asking him to be reaching out to each one of you individually, have some conversation.
Okay. Clarification, Abby?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do we have a actual consolidation plan for classes and like an expected date when staff can know what that consolidation is gonna look like?
You're talking
Just-
about the alignment for what staff may be doing next year?
Yeah, and like the combination of classes, just as someone who has to support all of those classrooms.
I had, so Sam and I have already told, actually, Mr. White and I, we're gonna be working tomorrow. I told him I'm gonna be bringing him in. We need just a little bit of time in the morning, just a little bit to get going. But we're gonna be in there going through all the aspects of that. So as much as we'll be calling individuals about, the RF process, and when we get back from spring break, because I don't think we're gonna have all time to get this all done for spring break. We get back from spring break, then we're gonna have conversations with those staff that will have impact. We have positions here, but it may need to be altered, classes may need to be, whatever might be consolidated. So they're very much aware also. So again, being transparent that if they decide that this isn't for me, that they can also decide if that's what they want to stay in the district. I'm just being transparent about that. Or they decided, which is, okay, thank you. I have time to prepare for this. I have time to whatever it might be. So as much as those that'll be here, yeah, there'll be some impacts potentially on that.
Okay, and then with the separation that we did between all three of the schools and how hard and fast we've been about keeping them separated. And then with our classes going back to being combined, because right now we have each class as its own entity between pre-K to 12. Are the parents of the students that are going to be in combination classes, are they going to be notified before the school year starts?
You're talking about like if
Like
we
if we have
blend
3,
that.
4 combined, or if we've got 6, 7, 7,
Oh,
8 combined.
yeah, there is going
9,
to, there'll be
10.
there'll be notification out this week to our community, about what's just taking place tonight. I'll be sending one to the press as well. And I'll have reference to them. I'm not gonna rush this, but I will send something to them, everybody in the next couple of days, notifying them also about when there's changes decided upon how this is gonna impact here in the district, that they're very much well aware of what's gonna take place. So if we just decide to just throwing something out there, I'm not saying this is what it is, but if we blend like a K1 or something, or we blend a 3, 4 years ago, 3, 4, 5, which I'm not jumping to that boat, but if we did something, yes, I would give them heads up on that one. And I wouldn't be waiting very long after spring break. That would be my context the next week or two after that, letting them know about some of the changes here in the district. Yeah. My hope is to have all this defined. Honestly, Mr. White, before I walk out the door, spring break, to have all the class stuff structured, figured out. But I need to make sure we're taking care of our staff who are under this process we just did today by Friday. And then we'll work with the rest of the staff when we get back to spring break.
And then just one other thing, after having talked with the staff, or what Ryan said, they do understand, and I think having more information about what it's gonna look like next year will be super helpful for them.
Yeah.
Because right now, I think a lot of the stress, and frustrations are coming from not knowing.
The frustrations in all respect as well is I couldn't make a decision until the board gave an okay, because the board decided not to approve what I said. Everything in my mind was out there. The heartache would have been just magnified tenfold. So I could not move until the board gave that approval. I can see the frustrations. I understand. I understand.
Good. Board of Directors time. Director Wallman?
Well, it was started off nice with a lot of activity coming from Sam. Had a good moment going on there. But we'll just right down to it is hoping that we'd never get to this point. Realistically, or something majorly turned around, but we haven't done it. Right, we only have 5 years probably if we continued on our path. If we made it 5 years, we'd be right back to nothing, no school. We'd really be hurting if we didn't. So I don't think it was a wrong decision by no means. Again, hired him to make these decisions, even though I don't agree with how we're doing it, but he's the one that has to make those decisions. So that's all I got.
Director Drew?
I just want to say it's horrible what we had to do. I mean, I just want to cry right now. This was not an easy decision to do, because these are our friends, our neighbors, the kids. We watch these kids grow up. It is extremely difficult to have done this. And I just want everybody to know that it's with a very heavy heart that we have to do this, but we have to protect our school and the remaining kids that we have and make it the best place that we can with what we're going to have. And hopefully, by a miracle, something will change and things will turn around and get better. And when things get better, then we can look at a different scenario with this. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. I don't, hold your comments to say that we never would have figured this was a decision we'd be doing 5 years ago. That we've been battling this for 4+ years now.
Oh, we've been battling this
For
for
longer. I mean,
ever. They have always
right.
wanted.
The state has always tried to figure out a way to get the timber money out of from Jewel particularly, but, we didn't really think it was gonna be.
Quite
gonna
like
happen.
this.
Yeah, so, this is a horrible reality that the board has to, our job is to be fiscally responsible for our district, and, we had no choice really to push this forward, and the burden lying on Corey to make these tough decisions with the staff is, all we can do now is hopefully we can get them the information as soon as they can to help them find another career or get them into whatever they need to do. That's my biggest, I hope they understand that that we've been dealing with this. I know they kind of do, but at the same time, to see everybody get up and leave before you can really kind of talk about what's kind of, what we've been dealing with, it's tough, but, I get it. I'm glad they showed up tonight in unity for one another, and, cause there's people in the community that are gonna lose jobs, so it's gonna be effective and throughout everybody. So, yeah, that's all I got. Director Dietrich.
Yeah, if there was another option
Yeah.
to look at, we'd have looked at it. And, I guarantee we would have made a decision with a better option. There's no other option. There just isn't another one. Not with what we have on the table right now. And it's unfortunate. It's definitely the hardest decision I've ever had to make. One of them in general. Making decisions like that on people's livelihoods. Like you said, it's members of our community. It's your neighbors, it's their kids. Everybody in the school district will feel that decision moving forward. Every single person. It's not fair. Sam, thank you for providing your feedback on PD time. That information was helpful. And I absolutely think that we need to hear the parents' input on adopting the new schedule. I think that's important. And I think it's almost in a way wrong that we haven't put it out there yet to them. So we need to get that out there.
Director Song.
I wanted to start with something positive, which is Sam, thanks for sharing all the wonderful activities the kids have been doing. And it's super exciting to see the band out there achieving things and our wrestler. Woo-hoo, that's just really been phenomenal. We're all we're all shocked that it came to this, not that we didn't expect it, because we could see it happening. Corey's done an exemplary job of keeping his eye on the ball, keeping us informed. The shock is emotional, not intellectual for me. And as it's been pointed out, we all here are affected, the community especially. I pray that it doesn't impact enrollment further. I know that's a potential. But the fact that we have a wonderfully functioning school with such dedicated professionals doing their best, I anticipate that we will be able to support each other through the grieving process and the transition and all the changes. And there's going to be more, I'm sure. But I am encouraged with our leadership. And Corey, my heart goes out to you. You've really got the biggest burden right now, as I see it. And my thoughts are with you for all these things that you have to tackle right now. I appreciate you very much. And we'll keep coming in, doing the work necessary to keep this wonderful little place going. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 12, items for future meeting. 12.1 HP 3038 panic alarm system update. And 12.2 superintendent evaluation coming up in April. That'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Mike Wama,
Yes.
Patty Drew,
Yes.
TJ Hickox,
Yes.
Ryan Dietrich,
Yes.
and Jen Solomon.
Yes.
7.1. Thank you, everybody.